Hello everyone, in this video let us learn how to use a portfolio for Jira for sharing your plan and as well as sharing your program view. So today let us learn how to share a plan and program in a portfolio for Jira. In the previous video we learned how to create a portfolio program view, which is quite important because using a program view you can monitor more than one plan in a single view. In this video, let us learn how to share a live plan as well as share an improved interface, which is of course the plan that you have in your portfolio for Jira when you install it, when you start using it. And the improved interface of course is really good when it comes to planning your work with the help of the timeline that you can easily drag and drop. But of course, you also have the live plan, which is nothing but the plan that was there earlier, which is still valid. You can still use the live plan. So this sharing of your plan both in live and the improved interface is really important because let us say you make you're working on a plan and you have made one scenario. So before you can probably commit it to your projects, you may want to share the link with someone, maybe the stakeholders or maybe the people who are responsible for approving the plan, or maybe you are requesting someone that maybe I need one more resource, or I need maybe two more developers, and if you give me those two developers, I will be able to do a release maybe on time or maybe before time. So sharing is an important aspect here, and when you are sharing your plan both in live and the improved interface, you also have the option to share your program view. So let us see how we can do that in a portfolio for Jira. So I'll start with the improved interface. Now, when you're working with the plan, you have of course the option to create scenarios, and you have this view where you have the roadmap. I can use the hierarchy. Let us say I am using the initiative level to my subtask. So I'm basically trying to show everything. Now this is the view where I have almost everything. I don't really have any filters, and I'm using one of the scenario called additional resources. Now if I click on the share button here, so first of all I have the option to share this plan using a link, or I can also embed this particular plan maybe on a web page, or you can also embed this plan into your Confluence page with the help of a macro. So that macro is something that you can install. It is called as portfolio for Jira macro. And if you take a look at the marketplace listing of this macro is actually a free app that you can download. But of course, it only works with the server version of Confluence. So this is something that you need to be aware of. So if you click on the link option on top, you will get a unique link, and this unique link is something that is the link for the view that you're looking at right now. So let me show you what I mean here. And by the way, this is going to give a read-only view of this plan. So if you copy this link, maybe I'll open it in a separate tab. I am looking at exactly the same plan that I was previously looking at. Uh, and of course, this is nothing but a read only plan. So when you're looking at this plan, you cannot really make any change. You don't really have the option to drag and drop the time, the activities on the timeline. You can still use the filters on top, which is fine. But if I go back to the original plan and maybe if I let us say make a, let us say if I'm doing a change, maybe I'll reduce, or let us reduce the duration of one of the activity. And if I go back and if I do a refresh of my read only plan, this will reflect the changes that you're doing. Of course, these changes are not yet committed. So the plan will nothing but a reflection of whatever you're doing, and those changes are of course not yet done on your Jira. So whatever you see here on the plan, you can also see it on the read only view. Now let me do one thing here. Let me just focus on let us say stories. So maybe I want to create a plan where I just want to focus on the stories, although I do have initiatives. But maybe if you're sharing this plan with someone, and that someone is someone who is just interested in stories, not really initiatives. Now what will happen if I go back to the same plan, because I have applied a filter? Of course, I can do this filtering here again. But if I click on the refresh, uh, let us see if we are able to see only stories. So no, so we don't really have this filter applied for us. But what I can do now, I can click on the share button again, and if I copy the link, and if I open maybe a new tab here. So what I'm doing here is I'm basically using one more view where I'm just looking at the stories only, and this link that I copied is now focusing on stories. So I can do the same thing for epics. If I do the copy here again of my unique link, and if I go and I open this maybe in a third tab, let us see what will happen. So this will now show me only epics. So whenever you click on the copy or the share link, share button on top, I'm talking about the improved interface here. You will get a unique link that you can share with anyone else. And of course, that person should have access to portfolio. And anyone who can access the plan can definitely also take a look at the plan and monitor what is happening. Now, what will happen if I change, let us say the scenario. So if I change the scenario to maybe initial scenario, and if I go back to one of my shared read-only plan that I was looking at earlier, it is still showing me the additional resources scenario. Now I can click on the share button again. I will copy the link, and I will again open it, and this time I should be able to just look at my initial scenario. And one more thing that I want to show you is that if I let us say apply a filter, let us say I want to focus on just one specific release. So I can select my filter here and or maybe something else. Maybe I just want to focus on my Android release here. And right now we are just looking at epics of my Android project, and only for a specific release. Now if I look at maybe one of my plan that I shared earlier, the read-only plan, it will just show me the old plan. So now I need to, or maybe I'll just open the initial scenario read-only view, and I'll try to refresh to understand whether the filters are also copied for me or not. So if I click on the share button on top, and if I copy it, and if I maybe open one more tab, I will get another link, which is a unique link. And the idea here is that the moment you click on the share, I mean, whatever you're looking at right now on the plan, you may have some filters applied, you may have some scenarios, or maybe you're looking at a specific hierarchy level. You click on the share button and you get a unique link. So this is something really good. I think it is good, and you just need to, of course, make sure that you are sharing the right type of plan that you want to show with the filters. But I think the person who is looking at the plan, they can anyways modify the filter. Them, I mean, if they want, they can just clear the filters, and then they are back to the original view. But I think maybe you just want to focus on one initial scenario, and you want them to look at that particular scenario with a specific filter applied. Maybe you have embedded it somewhere. So for monitoring purpose, I think you have some options here, because whenever you are trying to share, your view is preserved for you. So This is quite good, and let me just close this, and let me just focus and open my live plan, and let us see the behavior of the live plan. So the improved interface sharing option is quite good. It works really well. Let us see how it works in the live plan. And when you're looking at the live plan, you have to go to the reports. And when you go to the reports, let me switch to the scope. And I can, of course, take a look at the scope, or I can also take a look at maybe my schedule. And if I click on the share button on top, I have the option to share this report with the option to include the filters. So let me just copy this. And right now I'm looking at one of my report called, schedule report, where I don't really have any filter applied, I believe. So yes, there is no filter. If I maybe open this link in a separate tab, I just want to see the behavior. So right now I don't really see the headers are slightly different. I believe it is just focus on one of my scenario, and I do have the option to use the filter. What if I change the level to initiative, and if I go to the same shared view using the same link, so it is not really showing me initiatives, but I believe, copy this link again. And if I open maybe one more tab, and I believe the behavior is similar to what you have in the improved interface, it will preserve the view for you. So right now I'm looking at the read-only view of my initiatives, and one thing that I really want to do is I want to maybe use the filter. Maybe I want to focus on my March release Android, and I don't really have any initiatives, so I'll probably switch to epics. Or maybe I need to select maybe something else. Maybe I'll select Feb release common. Feb release. Oh, I think I'm using too many filters. So let us just focus on stories, and I will probably try to use March release iOS. No. March release Android. No. I will try to use Feb release common. Okay, so I think I need to use maybe a different filter. Maybe I'll use my team filter, or maybe team deployment. I'm just trying to get a view that has something different that I can show you, because I want to see whether the filters are respected or not. So if I just focus on in progress, or maybe to do, or maybe done. Okay, so I think these filters are, are not really that useful, but I'll focus on maybe project. Okay, so let us get rid of all the filters. Clear. Okay, so I believe we have a lot of I'll probably include the issue keys. So most of the issues are actually from my Android project. I don't really see anything from my iOS project, but within my Android project, I'll probably try to focus on one of my because team is also different. How can I show you something different? So I'll probably go back to my scope, and I will probably assign some activities to my team iOS, so that I can show you something different when it comes to the filters. So if I select team iOS, no, let me click on the calculate button, and hopefully I should be able to show you something unique. And my Jira instance is down. So let me just pause this video and fix it, and I'll continue from where I left. Okay, so we are back, and sorry for the interruption. My Jira instance was down, so and it took me a few minutes to bring it back to life. So we were looking at this plan, and I wanted to show you how to basically share your plan with the filters applied. So if I look at this plan right now, I have, of course, this plan with activities assigned to two different teams. And if I look at the plan that I shared, the read-only view, I can see the same thing here. Now, what if I go back to my plan and if I, let us say, select and focus on just my team Foodie Android? So I'm just focusing on one of my team here. And if I go back to the same link and if I do a refresh, let us see if we are able to reflect that in the link. So this link is actually unique to what we started with earlier, and the filters are not reflected in the same link. But what I can do, I can go back to the plan. I can click on the share and I can copy it and I can open a new tab to see whether in the newly shared link whether my filter is preserved or not. The good thing here is that you also have the option to change the filters, but I can also decide not to include the filters. So let us say if I remove this link and if I go back to the same link and if I do a refresh, my filters should be preserved because I'm still using the old link. But if I go back to my actual plan and if I do a share again and if I copy the link and if I open it again, then I will get another unique link with no filters on top. So this is something really good where I have the option to include the filters or not include the filters. So this is really nice, and I can of course do the same thing with maybe my scenario. I have of course my additional resource scenario here where I have a team Foodie Android. If I click on the link again and if I copy it, I paste it. So whenever I copy and paste, I get a unique link, and this will only show me what I was originally focusing on in my plan. Now this option to control the filters or not control the filters is really good. And if I probably go back to the improved interface, I want to see whether I have the same thing or not. So I can click on the share. So in the share option, when I click on the embed or when I click on the link or when I click on the confluence, I don't really have the option to basically focus on or decide to not include the filters. So this is something really interesting in the live plan. One thing that I really want to show you is we were of course focusing on one of the report where we were trying to share it, and right now it is the schedule view. But what if I focus on the scope, and if I maybe refresh the original link, will it switch to scope? So no, it is not really switching to scope. If I click on the share button and if I copy the link and if I just paste it again in a new tab, I should only see the scope. So this is really interesting, and I think whatever you see on the plan and when you click on the link, when you click on the share button, you are actually sharing this unique view. And this is really interesting, and I think it is quite useful because I can certainly see a lot of use cases for it. Maybe you don't really want to bother the other person with all the other aspects of portfolio plan. You just want to show them that you just want to show them what you really think is relevant for them. And if I probably click on maybe one more report, I can click on maybe capacity. So this is really interesting, and because when you share the capacity, you want to share that your team members are over allocated or they are under allocated. So you are basically able to share the same report. Now let us focus on the program view. So this is my program view that I created in my previous video, and of course you can go back and take a look at that video to understand how it works. Now when you look at your program view, you're basically trying to monitor multiple plans in a single view, and here also you want to share your plan. Right now you are looking at the initiatives, but if I click on the share, I get a unique link. If I maybe open it in a separate tab, I believe the behavior will be same. I can share it showing the initiatives, or I can just focus on epics. And if I click on the share again without the controls and filters, then it will not give me the ability, or the person who is looking at the plan, uh, the ability to change the filters. And right now I'm just looking at, of course, my epics in my plan. So this is really interesting. I think this sharing option, both in life plan, improved plan, and your program view, it will let you do a lot of wonderful things when you are trying to convince someone. Let us say you want to convince your stakeholders that you need one more resource, or maybe this is the plan and this is how you will be able to deliver it on time or not on time. So in the next video, we will move ahead, and we will focus on a new topic of setting target dates and baseline in your portfolio plan. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video and you learned something new today. Thank you very much.